Down on the clock again. Feel like I'm playing in a game that I can never win. Time is running out, I know I gotta make a choice. So many whispers in my ear that I can't hear my voice. Tell me, will it end the situation that I'm in? Or am I bound to sit alone, drowning in my sin? Get right or get left, what will it be? Time is running out, the blood is flowing down the streets. People need to know we're living in a war zone.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Loot Bros Podcast. I'm your host, Resident Darrell, and with me this week, I've got my good friend, Gaz Davis. What's up, brother?
All good, all good. Glad to be back. It's been a few weeks since we last got together. How's things been your end?
Been very good. Staying busy. Work has picked up a little bit. Things are getting kind of, a lot of projects we had going are ending. And they're getting towards the end of the year, and that's been good. I've been a guest on a handful of podcasts recently, so I've been jumping around and having some fun with that, and just playing some games. I got some fun ones to talk about, and I got one that I like showing off. Have you tried this yet? This Lord of the Rings Gollum?
No, I know I will pick it up at some point. Despite the reviews, I've been on a bit of a splurge. I just can't at the moment. I've just and I had a little sort of a very short moment of realization, really, that I just seem to be buying games that I know I'll never play. Realistically, never play. But I just, because they're cheap, I just still will buy them anyway. Just think, oh well, I'll have them in my backlog. I might get round to them, I might not. And I had a little epiphany about a week ago, and I'm thinking, what am I doing? Just sort of this money just going on games that I'm never going to play. And I got over that by buying another game. But
so I don't know how things work across the pond. So this might sound very ignorant. But surely you guys have Amazon over there, correct?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay. So Amazon has a company, I don't know if they're an official subsidiary or not, but like a company called Woot, Woot.
Yeah.
And like you can get, like if you go to Woot, I got this for $10 free shipping. Now, I don't know if that like translates over there. Like that's where my ignorance comes in, because it's like, I don't know how the economics of their stuff works for you. And but dude, $10 brand new plus shipping. I got it. I bought it on Xbox and on PS5. And I just keep showing it off on all the different shows I've been on, because I'm like, I'm gonna buy all these really crappy games and I'm gonna play them. That's gonna be my thing.
I don't think Woot is over yet. I have seen that game. I've seen the cheapest I've seen it is for £15. We've got a like a toy, like Toys R Us. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Toys R Us sort of went bust in the UK a few years ago, but there's a similar sort of place called Smith's Toys, which is a big sort of multinational chain, and they do everything from kids' toys to gaming and everything. So the cheapest I've seen it is in there at 15 quid. So it's still, I don't think the thing is that with that game, you probably will have to pick it up, because I think it's so poorly rated. I don't think PlayStation would put it on any of the subscription services.
Probably not. Yeah. So this is going to be one of those good ones that I'm going to hold on to, and one day it's going to be like a little more valuable, because it's like, oh, this thing they didn't print any more of them because it's like so bad. But yeah, I'm going to grab that. I'm going to grab Kong, and I'm going to grab Rocket City or something like that. Crime.
Yeah, Crime Boss Rock Ace.
Yeah. That one apparently has done really poorly too, rating wise.
It has, and I do want to play that, because that's the one with all the
actors and stuff in it. Yeah.
So, yeah, and obviously the Walking Dead one was the other one that's done really poorly.
Yeah. So it's so crazy, because we had this historic year of like these great games, and then also we've had all this trash, and it's like awesome.
Yeah. So the thing is, it's like these titles I know I'll probably end up picking up. And my sort of tolerance for games is very different to a lot of people's. I hear on other podcasts or people in communities and other groups, and they'll only play sort of, the AAA, which is probably the way you do it, probably to play the AAA games or the best game. Yeah. And I'll pick up anything and play anything and probably enjoy most of it that I play really realistically. But that's why I'm looking at my list of games I've played, and I'm missing some massive games that I've never ever. But all the whole BioShock series, Red Dead Redemption, Dead Space, the series. I've never played any of those. And the list goes on. Mass Effect. I've never played any of them. But I've played Ice Age, sort of nut scratty adventure.
That's so good, Gareth. That's where you and I are a lot alike, because there's so many crap games that I've played, and so many that I've I've been talking a lot recently on like how I didn't play Max Payne 3 until last year or the year before.
Yeah.
I didn't play BioShock Infinite until then either. That same year I played BioShock Infinite, and I do the same thing. I've never finished Red Dead. I never started Red Dead 2. I never finished Grand Theft Auto 5, and I own it on 3 consoles.
I did. I finished the story on that one. I must admit, but that's because, and I go through my list of games. Like at the moment, I've got loads that I've got on the go. But and I go through them, and I think, oh right, this one, and I really ought to play like Last of Us 2. Last of Us is one of my favourite ever games. I've never played Last of Us 2.
I've never played it either.
Uncharted, one of my favourite series. I'm still stuck on Uncharted. I haven't played Uncharted 4 or Lost Legacy, and at the moment, because I haven't got the trophies from PS4 Uncharted trilogy, I think I'll go back to the start of number 1 again and play them all through again. So it's probably about another 10 years before I get to sort of Uncharted 4. But that's just the way. It's not like I'm enjoying what I'm playing, to be honest with you. But it's and I need maybe next year I'll have a list of games of high profile games that I want to get round to play, and maybe have a list of maybe 4 or 5 that I'm definitely going to do. I wonder, like, what, if I was to get seriously ill and like think, oh Christ, like I've ended up sort of wasting my time playing Monopoly Madness and Ice Age, and I've sat on Last of Us 2 in my sort of shelf day one.
Yes, it's so funny because I'm scrolling through my PSN profiles and I'm like, oh, I got 2 trophies in Horizon Forbidden West from March. I bought the game, $70, played it for a few hours. I'm like, this is great. Now let me go play some Jackbox and some Rush Hour Deluxe, and
it's nearly getting to that time of year when Pinball comes out again, another 3 or 4 months.
Yeah. I'm like looking through and I was like, man, I played some really great games, but also I played Garlic. The jumping fries.
I mean, there's every chance one of them would get into my top 5 games of the year. When we go, obviously we're going to touch on that later on.
The rate I'm going, like looking through, if we were picking our top games of the year based on completion, I'm like, well, I got the jumping fries, Rush Hour Deluxe, I got Super Pets.
I was scrabbling around. I've had to. One of the games was Star Wars Battlefront 2. I really loved that game, but I finished on January the 12th, so I thought I can't really put that in. I'm scraping because otherwise I might have to sort of put Glittering Sword in.
I might have to put Peppa Pig as my number 5. That's so funny. I platinumed that game, and what I did was it was over the Thanksgiving holiday here in the States, and kids are out of school for like 5-ish days or something like that, and so. Like my daughter really wanted to watch some horror movies, and I'm like, okay. So I just went through and pulled 3 or 4 films out, and you'll like this because you're a film guy. And so I pulled out The Ring. I pulled out The Grudge. And I pulled out The Forest. Now, all 3 of those have they're horror movies. They have spooky elements, a lot more focused on tension and some of the weird imagery, not necessarily a bunch of bad language, no sexuality stuff, and not a bunch of, serious blood and gore. So things that are, in my opinion, this is going to be like maxing out, like scary for the kids, or for me and my daughter. So we watched them together, and it was so funny because we watched the Ring, and then we watched the Grudge. And she was like, all right, well, we need to watch some Teen Titans or something, like a palate cleanser. So I did remote play from my PS5 to my phone, and I have one of those Razer Kishis because I haven't found a Portal yet. They're all sold out around here, and the few times that I saw them go live online, they were sold out. which is fine because like my wife says she's going to get me one for Christmas, but I just keep looking at them like, man, I can't wait. And so I never got around to buying a backbone because I got these.
Yeah.
And so, so we were just playing Peppa Pig, I handed her the controller and I was like, here, play Peppa Pig. It's like, it's like a joke, So she played like 30 seconds of it. She's like, this game sucks. And so we put in The Forest and I platinum Peppa Pig on my phone watching The Forest. So for all you freaking haters out there who said that the PlayStation Portal serves no purpose, I got news for you. I was able to platinum Peppa Pig and Super Pets remote play while watching TV and watching movies with my family. So you better believe that PlayStation Portal is getting some time in this house when I get it. Because the thing that's annoying is, and especially with the type of work that I do, my phone's constantly getting messages and emails and all this bull crap. And here I am trying to solve these mysteries in Peppa Pig and I'm getting emails popping up. And then I go to scroll them out of the way. And before you know it, I kick myself out. And so my wife would be so proud of me.
Yeah. I have to close the game down. If I hear my wife coming down the stairs, I quickly back out the game and load it Netflix on this, just in case, because out of embarrassment of what she sees I'm playing. Like sometimes.
What's funny is
we played a Lego game. A Lego game. I mean,
it's like, what are you doing? I'm watching porn.
Yeah. All in a panic, open up Google and search for Google.
Yeah. Like you're hiding it like you're actually doing something wrong. It's like, what are you doing? I'm looking at movies.
Yeah.
That's a much more socially acceptable thing that I'm instead of playing Peppa Pig. Nah, man, I lean right into it because, with we're getting up at the top end of our 30s. We're getting ready to reach into our 40s. And, a lot of our friends and our, people that we all got married at the same time, a lot of them are going through their divorces. They're on their second and third husband and wives and whatever. And there's a lot of like infidelity and a lot of issues that have come up, and I always joke, I'm like, well, I play video games. It's the worst. That's what I do. It's like, yes. And all the time, my wife's like, are you really playing Super Pets? Like, could be drugs. I could be at a bar right now. Yeah. I could be running around on you, but no, I'm getting trophies in Peppa Pig. What up?
Yeah, I hear you.
So, all right. Well, Gareth, here we are, Loot Bros Podcast. This is a gaming podcast where we come together, myself, my friends, people in the industry, other podcasters, comic book artists, all the such. We get together, we talk about video games, we talk about films, we talk about fun stuff, whatever really comes to mind. I really like to keep it light and just kind of see where the conversation goes. You and I are getting together because here it is. We're getting in December, end of 2023. This is probably the second to last Rarity update we'll do for 2023. We'll do this one. We'll do one more, hopefully, maybe the end of the month or beginning of next month.
It will be this will be a penultimate one because obviously the next one we'll probably do will be because it's only the end of this month and then it all comes to an end. Yep. So we'll finish it and then start. We'll launch the new one. Yep. Give dates when the new one will be. So
Yep, which will be exciting. And so what I want to do is I want to kind of set the stage real fast. We're going to get into what we're playing, but kind of like here's the housekeeping, here's the news for the show. So Gareth and I are going to get together once or twice a month. We're going to talk about the Rarity stuff. We're going to talk about the community events, and I am going to focus more on the Rarity event as far as the Loot Bros is concerned. So we're not going to launch the Backlog Beatdown 5. We might do something like shorter spurts next year, but we're not going to do a new Facebook group for it. We're not going to do a new spreadsheet for it. We're not going to do, it's not going to be nearly as much of a focus because I think at the end of the day, your event is just as good, if not better. I think what you're doing is just as cool. And I think that the amount of engagement that we're getting on your event is essentially the people who shot to the top of the Backlog Beatdown, got bored, then they decided, well, we're just going to focus on the Rarity. I think the disparity between the top of the Backlog Beatdown and the bottom of the Backlog Beatdown is the same thing so far 4 years in a row. And it's like people start off strong in the beginning of the year, and then once the tryhards, the overachievers, get to a point where they can't touch them. Most people kind of fall off, and even if they're still playing games, they don't necessarily report their games. So, what I want to do as far as 2024 goes is I just want to assist you, back you up, support you in this event, contribute in any way that I can, because I think that this is a good one for the community, and the people that participate the most and contribute the most, really do kind of focus on that one. And then we've also got Zach, pulling up the rear as one does. So as far as 2024 goes, I want the Rarity, event to be a bigger community focus. And I think the cool thing is we got that with the trophy horse, we got that with the Loot Bros, and then you said you're looking to bring another group of people in.
Possibly, yeah. That might have changed though, because I think they've, a bit like you having, so they realised what they were potentially giving up, and 3 out of the 4 have decided to continue with what they're doing. So of the hosts, so I don't. So yeah, so that might be. So I'll probably invite, because I don't want to make it too much bigger, if anything at all, any more larger than what it is, because it takes up quite a lot of time. But I'll probably invite some of the ones that are, interested into it.
Maybe you can grab just a couple of those other hosts and just involve them. Yeah. And then at least they can talk about it on their show or whatever turns into that. So, and so that's kind of what I want to do. I want to focus on your thing this year, and we'll do maybe, in my head, I'm just thinking out loud, but I've kind of got some ideas written down for the backlog beatdown, but like maybe next year we just do shorter, like, hey, we're going to do 3 months or a month or, whatever, and just kind of do something fun and something that where maybe I can capture people's attention, like focus it and then we bounce off, give it a break, focus it and bounce off, give it a break. So something that maybe even will tie into the Rarity that's like, hey, here's a little bit of like a bonus. Like, we'll do the backlog beatdown. So anyways, I just kind of want to put that out there. JT, the commish, has offered to stay on and continue to moderate the backlog beatdown. And so, like I said, I'm not gonna completely get rid of it, but we're just going to do something different, and it won't necessarily be a year-long thing for next year. So that being said, I'm excited to see where this stuff goes. Now, I'll continue to occasionally jump into the Loot Bros leaderboard. That's not going to go away. That doesn't change. If you opt into the leaderboard, it is there on True Trophies, and it's cool, man. There's some weeks, dude, where I see, especially now that I don't record in the evenings with the crew, like, I don't log into it near as much, but there's some weeks where I'm like, dude, other people have taken over the leaderboard of people I'd never seen in the top 5 before, which is pretty wild. So it's pretty cool to see.
It is, but there's also, obviously, if we get together a couple of times a month, there's nothing stopping you having, when you're doing your bits with other guests and whatnot, is because the leaderboard is always updated, it's always available to everybody from the Facebook page. So there's nothing stopping you going in and just having a brief 5 minutes just as an update, on your own or with your other guests as well, just to see where people are. So it can be keep that regularity going, for people, more frequent than even just once a month or even twice a month. So
absolutely. So we'll definitely,
like how you do the back.
Yeah. We'll make that happen. That'll be our big focus for next year. So with that being said, Gaz, I'm going to let you take the floor. Let's talk about some games that you've been playing recently since the last time we talked.
Okay. So there's probably, if I talk about the last week, really, because there's probably 4 main games that I've been playing. So the first of those is Back for Blood, one that I'd started earlier on in the year and completed the campaign on that. And I was really struggling with, if you want the platinum on that game, you've got to complete all 4 acts on Nightmare difficulty, which I got toward the end of Act 1 and was struggling a little bit with the sort of loadout that I had. I did a bit of research, and I think I've found a loadout, like a melee loadout, which is phenomenal, really. It makes the game an absolute breeze, really, even on, well, I say breeze, certainly the parts that I've done so far, I've not had anywhere near as much trouble completing I think I'm sort of halfway through Act 2 now on Nightmare. So I did where I'd been struggling on Act 1. The first time I went through it with this new melee loadout was unreal. Like it was first time it was done, and it was so I'm just literally swinging a baseball bat, and I can do it because I've maxed out the stamina, maxed out the health. So every time I hit somebody and defeat one of the ridden, I'm gaining about 3 health back.
Oh, wow.
And I'm swinging it like I'm swinging. I don't know. It's like, like if you had a belt in your hand and you just swung a belt round. Yeah. That's what I'm swinging this baseball bat round. Like it's just like it's almost like a helicopter sort of like blade, sort of just smashing these zombies. And then there are also the long grindy trophy is for killing 53,600 ridden in the game, which I've managed to do now. By setting up an AFK method. So what I did is there was a room. One of the levels in Act 1 is you can call when you blow up this like an oil tank. It creates an infinite horde. So what you do is before you do that in the safe room where you purchase some equipment, you max out. Well, it's best to do. You need one of the DLC characters. Tala, I think her name is. Because she has the bleed out ability, and then you purchase as many of the razor wires as you can, and you position them outside the safe room door. So you've probably got about 20 odd of them. You've called the horde. You go and hide back in the safe room with your team, and as soon as they walk through, because you've got the bleed out, they get through about 3 razor wires and fall dead. So you can then. Literally, I was getting about 6,000 kills an hour.
Oh, wow.
But you've got to kind of sort of after about an hour and a half, the screen starts glitching out because there's that many on the screen. So you've got to kind of then, it's to stop it crashing, just back out and then start it again. But I did manage to get that after a couple of weekend really of just doing it. So I've now just got to. All I've got to do is go through the 3 remaining acts on Nightmare, and then that's the platinum for that game.
Nice.
Which would be quite a nice one to get. So I've been doing that, although have bailed off it slightly because of 2 games that I need to finish by certain dates. Well, not finished. So the first one of them is Mirror's Edge Catalyst, which I mentioned to you about. The servers close for that on December the 8th, which is Friday. And there are 2 online trophies to get on that before they close. So if you want the platinum on that game, you need to get them done by Friday. In order to get them, you have to get to a mission on the main mission. It's called Mischief Maker, and it's mission 4 of main story. It takes about an hour and a half to get there. And once you've completed that one, it unlocks the ability to compete against and beat user time-generated time trials. And they're 2 very basic trophies there. Take about 2 minutes to do once you've got actually to that level. Game is really, really good. I played a little bit of Mirror's Edge when it first came out on the PS3, but never got back into it. But the Mirror's Edge Catalyst it plays really, really well. I'm surprised at how that I've not given it a go. Well, I'm not surprised at that because obviously the amount of rubbish I have played, but I'm enjoying what I've played with it, and I've literally this morning got up to that point where I needed to, but I'll probably carry on with it, or certainly in fits and spurts in amongst all the others that I'm playing. The other game that is time sensitive is a game again I'd started earlier in the year, which is called El Hijo, and it's one that I'd hoped to have saved the platinum for GTTSC next year. However, the last round of PS Plus withdrawals from their premium and extra subscriptions meant that this game is bailing from the service on the 19th of December, which means I've got to finish it by then if I want the platinum, or I've got to sort of purchase it, and I don't really want to purchase it seeing as I can do it. And I'm 19 of the 23 trophies through it. It's a good game. It's a stealth game. You play as like a 6-year-old kid. Your mum's been kidnapped, and you've got to go through. The story is, to try and rescue her. but it's a stealth game, so you've got to get through each chapter. It's easier getting through each chapter because the checkpoints are fairly generous. However, 2 trophies that are tied to it is you've got to get through every level without being caught. So obviously, if you do get caught, you've got to restart the whole chapter again to get that trophy. And there's another trophy for you, what's called inspiring all the children. So each chapter has between sort of 1 and 5 children that you have to get to and interact with to inspire them, and that you have to go out your way to get them. It's not towards the end, the natural course you would take just to finish level. So the easiest way of doing that is go through the level once, inspire them. Doesn't matter if you get caught on each of those, and then just inspire them, and then at least then you know where you've got to go for your run through, and then that only takes a few minutes to go through because you've got an idea of what the enemies are going to be doing and where they're going to be facing. So that's good. So I'll have that platinum in sort of within the next week. I would have thought I'm on. There's 32 chapters. I'm on 24 of that. So I was sort of fairly getting towards the end of that. And then the final game that I have been playing and really enjoying, more so than what I thought I would do, but I started it by accident, is the PS5 version of Habroxia.
Yes, it's a good game.
And I didn't realise when I started. The reason I started it was because it was getting close. I was on a trophy streak and I didn't want to let that up. So I thought I'll start Habroxia because I know there's some easy trophies in that to get. I saw that as a PS5 version. Thought I'd just download the PS5 one. Not realising that it's a completely different trophy list and is much harder than the PS4 one. But I finished the campaign on that on the normal difficulty. And I've played through the first 3 levels on hard, and then given some of the other modes a go, invasion mode and various, I think rescue mode, shield maiden. There's about 4 or 5 different modes, but they again trophies that are attached to them. But it is proper bullet hell on hard. It's but the good thing is your upgrades of your ship carry over for it. So every time you complete a level, even if you fail a level, your credits still carry over, so you can keep upgrading, and eventually your ship gets to a point where you're defeating enemies with a couple of shots. But I've heard that from level 6 onwards, it does really, really sort of spike the difficulty. So we'll see how we get through. I've 16 of 49 trophies on that, and some of those other modes are difficult in order to get the scores you need in order to get the trophy. So we'll see how we fare on that, because I think the platinum on the PS4 version is 87%, whereas on the PS5 it's at 18.59. So big difference between the difficulty on that. And that's what I've been playing. That's my last week in gaming, really.
Very nice, very nice. So I just tried something different with my mic. The way I've got my screen set up is I was having trouble with this giant black thing in my face. trying to see. I was like, because I've got like, well, I've got leaderboards brought up. I've got trophy stuff brought up. I got all kinds of stuff. So I was like, man, I'm like trying to look at this. Well, the camera's over here, but the screen's over here that I've got you on. I'm like trying to look at it, but there's this giant black thing in my face. I'm like, that's not my favorite. So, all right, I'm going to talk about 3 games that I've been playing, and 3 games of varying degree of fun. So the first one is one I've been playing for the longest amount of time. It is Silent Hill Downpour. This is a game that was on the Backlog Beatdown list. A game that I put on the Backlog Beatdown as far as like the bonus list because I needed to finish the game myself. It was one of those games that no matter like, I've owned the game forever and ever and ever, and I just could never bring myself to starting it because it requires attention. Like there are certain games when you play them, they require all of your attention. You can't be multitasking, and I like to multitask while I do a lot of stuff. So, with that being said, I put it off, and finally I was like, you know what? Now's the time. I'm on a run of just cool third-person survival horror style games, and this is the next one on the list. So I knocked that one out. I beat it. It started to overstay its welcome, even though I think on the internal play clock, I only had about 10 hours into it, maybe 11 hours into it.
Is it the Vita game?
No. That one is Book of Memories or something like that. No, this is the PS3.
That's it, yeah.
I don't actually. The case is over there. I'd have to dig it out. I'm not. But it's the PS3 one. It's a good game, but it's not a great game. A solid 6.5 or 7 is kind of where I would rate it. And the reason why is because the actual game mechanics are good, the gameplay is good, and the premise, the story is cool. Now it's got 4 endings, and I chose one of the worst endings.
Right.
So, which I part of me wants to go back and play it again, but like I didn't knock out all of the side missions until I passed the point of no return, and I wasn't following a guide on it. I was just trying to enjoy the game, and I got a decent amount of trophies for it, and it is platinumable. It requires 3 playthroughs, so I could, in theory, do another playthrough, get all the side missions, and then do the final playthrough, which would be without killing anything. I think that's what I can't remember. Anyways, I don't know. But the game runs very poorly. There are several times where the game chugs and the frame rates dip so far and lag so hard that I've even had the game crash on me. And this is an older game. So the fact that it still runs so poorly, now maybe the Xbox 360 version runs better than the PS3 version, because I know a lot of games during the PS3 lifespan that were multi-platform had a history of running better on one console than the other based on that cell processing architecture and all that bullcrap. So who knows? But Silent Hill Downpour, I beat it. I got the bonus points for the backlog beatdown, but I will not, at least in the foreseeable future, go back and platinum it. Now, maybe when we're in the middle of like our next trophy competition or something, that might be one to return to, because I've already done the first playthrough. So maybe, chipping away at the side missions might be, fun enough points, because you know how it is when we're doing the trophy competition, you need to get points, but then a lot of times when you're getting points, you're not necessarily having fun. So you kind of always want to have that one game that you're going to go back and play so that you feel like you actually had a good time. So this might be one of those, but it runs so poorly. I don't know. So I'm kind of indifferent on it. Now, the next game I've been playing is a PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium game that was a day one launch into the service, and it's called Tear Down. Have you seen that yet?
I have seen it. I've not played it, and I've seen quite a few people on my friends list are playing it, and I've seen videos of it, and it looks
it's
pretty
fun.
good.
It's a lot of fun. So Paxton and I have been playing it together. It's one player, but it's kind of like the opposite of Minecraft. So Minecraft is about exploring and, figuring out the world and then crafting and building things. Teardown is about breaking things and tearing things down.
Okay.
And it has more mission structure. So you're kind of dropped into a sandbox, and it's like, here's your objectives, and you need to figure out how to stage up these objectives to escape the level. So one of the levels that was a little more difficult, in my opinion, because we didn't understand what we were getting into. We didn't understand what this game really was you had to steal these like alarm systems. You had to go in this, break through this level, and you have to essentially destroy a path to where you can go to 3 different areas, grab these alarms, these things on the wall, and then you have to escape before the police get to you. Now, that's not what I expected this game to be at all. I had no idea.
It's a heist game.
Yeah, essentially. It's a heist game.
Yeah.
So if you imagine like Minecraft, Thief Simulator, and then Red Faction Guerrilla, where you could destroy everything with your sledgehammer. Yeah, it's kind of like that. Now, bigger items, like or bigger structures, like brick structures, you can't necessarily break with your sledgehammer. So you got to go drive a vehicle through a wall, to get a crane and knock a wall, get a forklift, and so we're laughing, we're having a good time, we're tearing stuff up, we're breaking vehicles, and we unlock the blowtorch. So now we can go through and cut through steel with a blowtorch. And one of the trophies after you unlock a certain level is to go into the sandbox mode and then sink a yacht. So we spent way too much time sinking this yacht because we didn't have dynamite, we didn't have rockets, so we didn't have any of the things that apparently are unlockable eventually. So we take this blowtorch and we get on this yacht and we're just just burning holes through it. And we set all the wood on there on fire, so the thing's burning. And I take the blowtorch and I essentially cut like a path halfway through the yacht, and then I go and get in another boat and I drive the boat through it. Just kind of trying. It was ridiculous. Like we were doing some Grand Theft Auto style ridiculous stuff to complete our objective. But one of the missions we just finished yesterday was we had to break into this place and steal the safe and throw the safe into the ocean. And so it's just, it was cool. So the game's fun. It looks really cool.
What's the platinum look like?
Let me pull it up right here. It is, I want to say it was like 20 something percent. I could be wrong. No, I lied. Wrong game. 4% on PSN profiles.
Oh, wow.
It's ultra rare right now. Yeah, it's 4.66. Which one was I looking at that was 20? There was something I just looked at that was 20, but Humanity. Sorry, I downloaded the two. They're right beside each other on there. Humanity's 28%. Yeah. I started that game yesterday. I wasn't planning on talking about it. I started that game yesterday and I like immediately didn't like it and deleted it before I got any trophies.
Okay.
But
it's a Lemmings type game, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is that
not for me. That? Not for me. Maybe one day, but not for me. I didn't like it. I played a little, like, I didn't even get to the first trophy because I started the game. I was like, wait a second. I don't like the presentation. I don't like what I'm doing. I'm out. So, and then the last game I want to talk about is a Vita game that I'm having an absolute blast with. Now, I don't have it down here, Gareth, because I left it beside my bed. But I posted it in the Discord and I posted it in the Facebook group. You know me, I'm a Vita collector. I picked up my 12th Vita this week. And with that 12th Vita came the Japanese L3R3 remote play grip. So if you're for all the Vita players and Vita collectors out there, there's a specific grip that released in Japan, but like we were importing it like crazy over here in the States because it's amazing. It has these really cool pressure pads inside the grip, and on the grip itself, the Vita sits in it. It locks in with like this little clip that goes on top, and it's got this really thick and really cool, just the paddle. Essentially, it fits. It's really big. It fits in your hand really well. It's very ergonomic, and you have the triggers on the actual Vita are accessible, and then it has L2R2 triggers that push like these little pads to the back touch on the Vita, and then in the back of the grip itself it has L3R3 triggers, so you have an additional set of triggers, almost like how people add paddles to like the SCUF controllers and stuff. So that was part of the bundle, and that's a Vita item that's been on my holy grail list. Like, I don't have this and I really want it. So that, I made this deal this week. I'm making a video on it eventually. Maybe it'll go this week or next week. But it was cool, man. This freaking grip is so awesome. And then they resell, they're worth some coin, dude. It's like $100 to $150 loose for these grips. And it's for the Slim Vita. So it's awesome. This thing is super smooth, super slick. And so I got this grip and I'm like, well, I want to try a game out that's going to benefit from it. Now, I didn't choose wisely, but the game I'm playing, I've had so much fun with that I just haven't taken it out of the grip, and it's been beside my bed. So I've been playing Earth Defense Force 2 on the Vita. Now, I've only popped one trophy, but I've got 6 hours into the game. And this trophy list is ridiculous. Like, I think I'm gonna go for the platinum, but it's gonna be like this mega grind. Like, it's a 1.25 ultra rare, and you need 350 hours to get that platinum.
Oh wow!
And it's 15 playthroughs, and it's a 7 out of 10 difficulty.
15. Is it a strategy game?
Oh no! You know what? There's online playthroughs. That might not be possible. I don't see where it's shut down. Well, actually, I can't see the whole view. I might be lying to you guys. It might not be available anymore. Either way, no, it's a third-person shooter. Horde It's like
Oh, is it?
it's
Okay.
a horde mode. You kind of drop in. It says the servers are still up. They're just super dead as of a year ago.
Which one is it called?
Earth Defense Force 2 on the Vita.
Well, it seems that there's a lot of them.
Yeah, there's a ton of these games, and you got a ton of them for Plus as well. Like you just got one of the most highly reviewed ones was Iron Rain. That's on PS4. We have that for Plus or Premium or something like that. But so the cool thing about this game is it's a third person shooter. You're dropped into an area like Tokyo. It's very reminiscent of like the kaiju games like Godzilla and stuff like that. War of the Monsters or whatever. And so you're dropped into this area, and you're just this little EDF character, and there's 3 different characters you can choose from. You choose your loadout, and you just go kill giant bugs. Like immediately, you're killing ants, then you're killing spiders, then you're killing like hornets and stuff like that. And then you eventually make it to the boss fight. The boss fight was this Godzilla-looking kaiju creature. So I'm playing the game on easy, right? And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to play. And I've got multiple copies of this game too. So I could essentially play with my son for these online trophies. I could actually boost them myself because right here it says heal another player, send 10 chat messages, so who knows? We'll see. As I'm scrolling through, I'm like, ooh, I can get some of these. But you run through this area, and the objective is going to be kill all the monsters, and all of the buildings are destructible too. So like you can get like your main weapon, sub weapon. My sub weapon's usually some sort of rocket launcher or missile launcher, and I'm just constantly just blowing up buildings trying to get to all these animals or all these creatures. You kill the creatures, you start the next level, and it's just dozens and dozens and dozens of levels because you simply drop in. Like I fought multiple different types of UFOs last night, and there's these War of the World style like alien robot things or whatever, but it's just dumb fun. It's just seriously dumb fun. This is the perfect podcast game. This is the perfect game you play while you're watching a movie, while you're watching a TV series. Like I just put it on easy, and I'm just playing while my wife and I are watching the show Intervention. Have you ever seen that? Where they do the interventions for drug addicts?
No. Oh, well, I haven't seen the program. I know what you're talking about there. I know the type. I think your wife and my wife watch the same sort of thing.
So I've been watching Intervention with her, and it is a train wreck. It's like you can't look away from it. It's so bad. But we've been watching Intervention, and I've just been playing Earth Defense Force. And so it's a lot of fun. It's dumb fun. The first couple times I played them, it didn't really resonate with me. It didn't really like click with me. And then now the more that I'm playing it, the more I'm like, dude, this is awesome. I kind of want to just sink into these games because I don't have to think about it, Like now, sure, when you get on the harder difficulties. So I got to the first boss fight and I beat the boss on easy, and it was super easy. So I kicked it up to normal, and then it was still easy. And then I kicked it up to hard, and he killed me a couple times, but I just changed my loadout, and then boom, got him. Now I'm on hardest, and he keeps killing me. Like I'm getting what seems like I'm getting him to the end, and then he keeps killing me. So it's.
I was just reading on there that if you have a second Vita and a second copy of the game, even if the servers were to shut down, you can still get the
ad hoc mode.
Yeah.
Yep. So. Well, I've got plenty of Vitas, and I've got 2 copies of the game because this game came with my most recent Vita.
Okay, excellent.
So that's just me, man. That's those are the 3 main games I wanted to talk about, and it's been pretty good.
Excellent. That sounds good. I had a total misrepresentation in my head of what Earth Defense Force was. I thought it was some kind of strategy game, to be honest.
Nope, it's a third-person shooter, mindless entertainment, and I know you've got a Vita. You might even have this game. You might have gotten this game as a download. I'm not sure, but
but
it's something fun. Again, it's that platinum. When I saw that it was 350 hours, I immediately kicked off of it. But then I'm like, you know what? This is like one of those wild grindy games that I think that I could totally just I could totally just do this. And then as I'm looking at the multiplayer stuff, I might even be able to get those today. I might be able to just sit there and boost them and just get that out of the way. So, but that's pretty cool. So now you had pitched the idea of us kind of talking about some of the top 5 games that we've played this year, and then jumping into kind of like the Rarity update. I know you said a lot of positions didn't change. So I'm going to pitch to you that we go back and forth. You throw a game out, one of your top 5, I'll throw one of mine, and then we'll see if we have any honorable mentions.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so do you want me to start then on the?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, so obviously these are going to be very different. These are obviously only games that I've played, so they're sort of to my taste. I'm not expecting everybody to go, and I'm sort of judging it not only by the quality of the game, but also by how much fun I've had doing the game, you know. So and so the first one, I'm going to start it off because I'm going to go from 5 to 1 on mine because I know the order that I would choose. So in 5 is Dangerous Golf, which is a game that it was on, still on. I think it still is. Yeah, it still is on PS Extra. I've actually got 1 trophy away from the platinum. It's one that I'm saving. It's an ultra rare trophy, about 1%, maybe even lower than that, to actually for the platinum. But it's a really addictive game. It's almost like one of those, just one more go, just one more go, just one more go, because you want to try and improve your score. And I've put some hours into that, some serious hours, but also had a lot of fun doing it. Admittedly, in order to get the platinum, you've got to pay for it twice because you've got to do it for the main campaign, but you've also got to do the co-op mode as well. So, and the only good thing with co-op mode is, in order to get the platinum with the story, you have to get, with the main campaign, you have to get every level done, earning a platinum medal on it, and that can be quite challenging on some of them. With the co-op mode, you only have to get gold, so it's quite significantly easier doing the co-op mode than it is with the platinum, the main campaign. And I've teed it up just right for what I need left to get. It's just 1 level that I know I need to do, and it's just a very simple one that I need to get. But yeah, I've had a real good time. Really enjoyed it playing it. I know it's not for everybody, and it's not, certainly it's only made by a small team to develop. I think I want to say Team 17, but I might be wrong. But I recognise every time it loads up, I recognise the name of the publisher. Developer, and they say their picture comes up and it says it's only like a team of about 17 people or 12 people or something.
Yeah, so, isn't it 3 Fields Entertainment that makes it?
Yeah, 3 Fields Entertainment. So
they used to be from Criterion.
That's right, yeah, because they used to make the Burnout games, and then they did their own version called Dangerous Driving, which is a game I've got but not played.
Same.
So, and they also did the game Danger Zone and Danger Zone 2, which I sort of did beat both of those two as well. But no, I think Yields platted this game as well. As I said, it's certainly not 1.13 is the platinum rarity on it, so it's certainly not a walk in the park. But I've had a lot of fun doing this, and that sort of did enough to make the my top 5.
Heck yeah. So I've got several, and I don't have them in any order, so I'm just going to go down the list. Okay. I'm going to start with Gungrave Gore. Now, this was a fun game. This is a game that the cover art spoke to me, that like I kind of wanted to get my hands on it. I watched one of the little trailers on the PlayStation Network. Thought the game looked cool, kind of reminded me of like a Devil May Cry style game. And I was like, man, I want to play this. Put it in. It's not Devil May Cry, but it's in that same vein of stylish action. And it was a lot of fun. Not a game I think I'll go back and get the platinum on. I think if I remember correctly, that platinum looked a little intimidating. Let's see. I'm bringing it up now. It was like 20 hours, 3 playthroughs, 5 out of 10 difficulty. So maybe not so bad. But I beat the game one time through and enjoyed it. I'm trying to look now to see if there was something that, because I did play on hard, and I was like, this isn't terrible. I probably just need to build it up a little bit. So, no, it just looks kind of grindy from here. So maybe this is a game that I'll go back and platinum during the next trophy war, because it's only a 14%.
Yeah. I'm looking at it now because I remember when I saw you playing it, because obviously for the Rarity update, and it made me look at the trailer, and I thought this would be a game that I would end up playing at some stage. It looked enjoyable.
It was fun. It was a fun game. So I don't have anything bad to say about it. I don't think it overstayed its welcome. I think it was pretty straightforward, and it's fun. And if you can time your combos and you can kind of use your abilities to kind of keep going. There was a difficulty spike towards the end on some of the laser enemies, like enemies that shoot friggin' these almost like sniper style lasers at you. They were super annoying. The earlier stages were much more fun, but it was just a little more manageable. Like the enemy types kind of get, I guess, if there was something annoying, it would be the enemy types. And I felt like the final boss was just kind of whatever. I don't think he was anything great. There was a couple good boss fights in there, but the final boss, I don't remember being very great. But yeah, so Gungrave Gore, a game that I purchased physically, and then the next month we were given on PlayStation Extra.
I've seen it. Yeah. Okay, very good. Next for me is, I mentioned it already, it's a game that I've been playing, and that's For Blood. I know it wasn't received particularly well when it first came out, was it? I think from memory, and I hadn't really, because I think it was supposed to follow on. Is it Left 4 Dead? Wasn't it? It was supposed to be a sort of spiritual successor to that, and they did sort of make a number of updates over the time. I think they've done a lot of work on it, to be fair, and new updates. They made the platinum easier than what it was, I think, originally. The DLC also helps if you've got that, helps the platinum, because I think you can almost like bypass certain parts of the level by entering these hives that they call the hives that you can only access through the DLC. But part of the reason it was fun is because we had a regular group of 4 of us that were running it, and it was we'd sort of hook up usually on every Thursday evening, all in the same time zone, and we'd sort of run it for 2 or 3 hours, and it was a really good time. It's fun. There's just mindless, just killing zombies in many different ways that you can. Good boss fights. Can be frustrating at times it's very much looking for you to work as a team. If you're going to be going off as an individual, you're going to be really struggling in it. So you do need to sort of be, especially if you're playing online with others. I think it's easier if you're doing it as a single player experience, because your AI are pretty useful. And I think you've played Back 4 Blood, haven't you? We've played it a little bit, and you get damage. You get the obviously your health goes down, and I think if you depending on what hits you, you can't regenerate all of it. I can't think what it's called, trauma damage. So your AI though don't take any trauma damage, so that makes a big difference. So they're constantly sort of able to revive you, and it takes a lot for them to go down, you know. So the other good thing about it is, which I found out recently, is if you are playing as a single player, you go down and you look as though the rest of your team are going down and not being able to recover you. Because if you can quickly turn the game off before you get the mission failed screen and reload in, you reload back into that on your same run at the same chapter you're on. So that makes it sort of quite significantly easier. But I've had a lot of fun playing that. It's up there as the my top 5 games that I've played this year.
Sweet. So this next one I want to throw out there, another one for the PS Plus Premium this time. It was a Super Stardust Portable. So this one I platinumed the PS4 and PS5 versions. PlayStation Premium has focused a lot on PSP games. And I think that's awesome. Playing some of these games that maybe I didn't play a ton of on PSP, or I played and loved on PSP with trophies, has been so freaking cool. And this is a Housemarque game, Super Stardust. I think we ended up getting Super Stardust Ultra on PS3, I believe, with trophies at one point in time. But Super Stardust Portable is a much easier, much more manageable platinum, and just a all around fun game. If you're listening to the show and you're like, oh, I've never played a Super Stardust game, essentially it's like the war. You're a little ship. It's like I guess a space shooter. If you played, what was that other game they put out on PS4?
Resogun.
Resogun. So essentially, where Resogun kind of found its, I guess, origins of Resogun, because it's like a planet, like a sphere that's constantly spinning, and you're just navigating on top of it, and there's enemies there. So you can essentially go around the entire sphere and come back to some enemies that you had already started with, maybe some power ups that you missed, and it's a fun little shooter, little shmup, and it's just a solid, good game. Not a crazy hard platinum, not a super long game, just fun. And I really, really enjoyed it. And I like these shmups, these space shooters occasionally. I like to use them to break up, kind of what I'm playing or whatever. Mm-hmm. And there were several, I'm just kind of looking at my list of platinums this year, which is not the most admirable list of platinums one can have. But it just that was kind of one of those that I threw in there occasionally, and I was like, man, this is a lot of fun. So 60% platinum completion on PSN profiles, and for the PS4 version, and 56% on the PS5 version. And there's only one trophy that's actually kind of difficult. The rest of them are super simple, but it was good. It was a good time. And if you have PlayStation Plus Premium, it is a must play. Like that's just a no brainer. Give it a shot. And it to me, it's like, it's a good representation of a Housemarque shooter, like space shooter, but without being Housemarque difficult. Because after Super Stardust Portable, I felt like their games got more and more difficult as they came out. I just feel like they just continued to get harder.
No, it is good. I second that, and it's I think it is made easy because on the PS4 and 5 version, you've got the rewind feature, haven't you, as well?
Oh yeah, yep.
Which makes it a lot easier.
Yep.
So that's good. Next for me is a game that is no longer platinumable, if that's a word, but which is Knockout City. Obviously, the server shut for that earlier this year. I think around April time it was when it closed down. And no, June time I think it was, and I started it in April. And I'd sort of given it a go when it first came out as a trial, and couldn't really get into it, and then decided to play it when they announced the server shut down. And man, I loved this game. I really enjoyed it. I didn't even boost it. I got the platinum from playing, because a lot of people were boosting, and sometimes you drop into a game and you could see people just sort of like throwing a ball at each other. Catch it. I say didn't boost it up. I think I had a couple of sessions just on specific, like I think you had to get 1,000 catches or 1,000 assists and stuff, but for the most part, I was playing it genuinely and just finding games and pretty much earned the platinum, 95% of it, just from playing it legitimately. And it's a bit of a shame that these live service games, obviously Sony are trying to go down this direction, and I know that they've announced that they're going to be reducing, or certainly the number that they want to release over the next couple of years. But you have to have the content there to be able to do it, and if you haven't got, and that's where Knockout City suffered from. It's if you haven't got that pull pretty much instantly, then you're going to struggle, because there have been so many instances of where these live service games have struggled. Rocket Arena was one. They've given away several, haven't they? Sort of on Plus and whatnot. But the other thing is I think that encouraging adding trophies in as well is one way to get the community to sort of keep dipping their toe in. And that's one thing I wish they did with Rocket League, to be honest with you. Keep adding more trophies in, because there's it will grip that sort of part of the the people that want to sort of do it, it will keep pulling them back in, and they're missing a trick, I think, a little bit in that. But yeah, I found it really good online multiplayer. I do like certain online aspects, but at the time, but I can only have one on the go at a time. I can't be going, right, I need to spend an hour on Knockout Arena because I need to do X amount of challenges to get this trophy. And then I've got to spend another hour on another game because I just don't have the time to be able to sort of mixing around. So their idea of launching X amount of live service games, they must know that they're all not going to stick. And if they can get maybe one or two to stick, then that's probably good enough for them in terms of their investment. But because it's like that. Is it the Evil Dead game? Evil Dead, and then they've announced
Evil Dead. There's a
well, there's Friday the 13th, Dead by Daylight, Evil Dead, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, isn't it? They're all very similar, and I know that Evil Dead have said, well, is it Friday the 13th servers are off or going off, is it? And then Evil Dead, they've said that they're not going to be creating any new content for that. And at what point do people could only have a certain amount of time? They only have a finite amount of time to invest in these things, and they can't do, that I think they'd be better served sort of putting more money into their single player campaigns personally than just going all in on these live service ones. But that's just me.
I think that for the people that they apply that appeals to, that's cool. I haven't found one for me yet that works, but I mean, I'm open to. I would love to have, as much as I'm of two minds with live service stuff because I'm like, icky, gross. No, I don't want that. But also, yeah, sure, I'd love to have a live service game that called me to it. You know what I'm saying? Man, I want to play another round. I want to do this again. I want to give them my money. I want them to take advantage of me. But I haven't had one stick for me just yet. And so it would be, I'd love for them to come up with something in the PlayStation ecosystem that was just yep, that's my game. I gotta play it. Got to get my levels. Got to get my gear. Got to get I got to get my battle pass. Because I mean, I guess the closest thing I play right now to a live service game is Marvel Snap on mobile.
Yeah,
and I love that game. I have a blast. All my kids are playing it, and I just listen to them creating decks and coming up with new strategies, and it's fun. And then my kids they'll make strategies up, right? And they're like, "Dad, you should try this," or "Dad, let me make you a deck." And I'm assuming from what I've heard that Marvel Snap is like Hearthstone. And, all the cards have abilities. Each lane has attributes to it, and it's random lanes each. Go. Oh, so I just hit my microphone. And it's a lot of fun. And so, but I still haven't been motivated to buy the battle pass. Now, my son's bought one once, and my oldest and my youngest have both. They've each bought one. And so for me, I'm not there yet, but I could see, a month come up where it's the cards that they're offering or, the variants that they're offering speak to me. So yeah, I guess I can see the appeal, and I like this game enough to play it every day or almost every day. And so right now, my kids and I have a challenge. This has nothing to do with the game mechanics or what the game offers, but it's to first person to save up 10,000 credits in the game. Yeah. But you get credits for completing missions. And what's funny is you need to use your credits to upgrade your cards, to upgrade your level so you can unlock variants and new cards, right? Well, I'm kind of like a creature of habit. Once I have a deck that I like, that's all I play. I don't change it unless the mission tells me I have to change it. So for me, buying new cards and getting new upgrades and stuff like that doesn't make a difference to me. I got my deck and I'm not changing it. And I've only changed my deck twice, really. So right now we're all at about 5,000 credits apiece. And we're racing. So it'd be cool, I guess, if something like that did exist that appealed to me.
I'm not adverse to them. It's just that I only have time for one at a time.
Right.
And I said Knockout City took a big part of time. I really enjoyed it. I've made a post and I've played the tutorial of Evil Dead, and that looks a really good game, actually, to be fair. And I may well get into that once I've just knocked a couple of these ones that I am playing out at the moment, but these time sensitive ones. But I don't mind having one on the go all the time until I'm done with it, and then I'll move on to the next one. Because I was looking at, is it the Robin Hood one, Hood Outlaws?
Yeah, I hear that's another one. So yeah, and I played Evil Dead. I bought it. I played it one time, one or maybe one sitting,
Yes.
and it was cool. But Dead by Daylight, I enjoy. I don't enjoy it enough, even with the Resident Evil characters in there and the Silent Hill characters in there. I don't enjoy it enough to sink my life into it. But if my kids came home today and they said, "Dad, we're going to platinum Dead by Daylight," I'd be like, "I'm in. Let's go." So that one's pretty close, I guess, as far as a live service game that I would be interested in. But it doesn't function like the other ones do. That one can be pay to win, because if you don't buy the newest villain, you might actually be at a disadvantage until things are nerfed and balanced out. So I don't know. There's some good stuff out there. I don't hate it, but I'm just like you said before, with all those live service games coming out, guys like us, we only have time for one, if we have time for one. So,
yeah, exactly.
I mean, who's going to play Stroke the Animals if I'm... I just read an article about a whole new wave of cheap platinums that are busting through.
On the way. So Trick could be all over that, so I'll ask him about him.
All right, my next game, I'm going to go with The Chant. Now, this is a game you guys have heard me talk about on the podcast. Third person, I don't want to say survival horror, but third person, maybe psychological horror is probably the best way to put it. Not a difficult game, but really cool story, really great atmosphere, amazing, like top tier sound design. Doesn't overstay its welcome. Fun game. Like, I really, really enjoyed it. The color palette in the game was really cool too. A lot of these horror games can focus on the brown, the gray, the blood, the doom and gloom. And this game is kind of the opposite. It's going for a realistic tone, but also with a large pops of color. Like, the actual infected and the enemy really does manifest color, and it's just so cool. This game was just oozing with style and just care and personality. Like, I really hope that this company gets another game or 2 or 10 like under their belt, because it was awesome. One of the best games I played this year, and it spoke to my interest, obviously, but also it played on the religious cult factor.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really cool too, because there's this cult, they're playing with these stones, these essential oils and crystals and all this stuff. And so they kind of borrow from all the things that we've all been exposed to in some form or fashion, even if it's just we know that one person that's all about energy and aura and oils and whatever, the hippie stuff.
They've normally got a dream catcher as well, and they're hanging up in their window.
Yeah. We all know that one person. So, and it's really cool, man. It plays on a lot of that stuff, and it's just it's a good game. And in the same vein of like your Lara Croft, like your female protagonist that has to overcome incredible odds that maybe she wasn't really built for this, but she pushes through and becomes her character arc was really well done. You didn't have to sit there and tell me 1,000 times she's tough, because she showed she was tough, and they did it in just a good way. It was just a solid story that was just fun to interact with, and I enjoyed it. And you could go as deep as you wanted. There were so many files and diaries and things where you could just really dig in deep into the lore. And that's one of the things I love about these style horror games is like, there's a world built, there's a world written, and you can stay surface level and just push through the story and and have a good time, or you can dive deep, read all the supplementary material and have a good time too.
Yeah.
So,
well, I think like probably the best example of that is Control, isn't it?
Yep. Oh gosh, yes. just thousands of pages of yeah. So yeah, the Chant. That's a game I can't recommend enough. That's a game that I'll remember that one for a long time. That's going to go on the shelf of just like sleeper hits that I wasn't prepared to enjoy as much as I did.
Yeah, it is on my wish list. On the PlayStation, it is on there. So
that's a good one.
So the next one for me is, again, it launched on PlayStation Plus Extra. So probably number two. This is number two for me, and that's Snow. It was. I really enjoyed this game. It was something very different, very narrative driven. Albeit, I think the story. I wouldn't say confusing or whatever. It just wasn't there. The story wasn't the greatest part of it. The gameplay, it looked stunning. The gameplay was really good. The characters in it, the people you come across, it was very well done. I just had a real, and it didn't outstay its welcome. The time, I think it was sort of 6 hours maybe to complete, with everything, taking your time doing it. To get the platinum, you needed to do the speed run, which was maybe, I think it was, you had to do it in an hour and a half or something on the speed run on that. But once you knew where you were going, you were okay. Because I think it did it chapter by chapter, that you could sort of you knew what sort of time you needed to be at by a certain element, and I think I ended up doing it with about 6 minutes to spare. But obviously that's now left the service. But I would highly recommend sort of anybody playing that one. It was I really enjoyed that. Made number 2 on my list.
Heck yeah, man. Heck yeah, that's what's up. Now the next ones I'm kind of torn on, because there's games that were great and there's games that I just had fun with, and whichever I pick from this point on doesn't necessarily represent the quality of game. Okay. So I'm going to say Killzone Liberation is my next game. This is another PSP title ported to the PlayStation Premium service. This is a game that I played on the PSP Go. Now, I own the PSP disc copy. I have a sealed copy, I believe, and an open copy. Never once played it on the PSP. When I got my first PSP Go a few years back, it was downloaded on there. And I remember laying in the bed with these giant friggin' hands, this tiny little PSP. I slide the screen up, and the buttons and the stick are even closer together. So I'm just like knuckling it. And I just remember sitting there, got all kinds of pain in my thumb playing this game. But it's so freaking good. Like, it's such a good game. It's a top-down isometric Killzone game. Yeah, Killzones are usually first-person shooter.
Yeah.
And it's just so good. Like, it's so freaking good. And I had a blast with it. And I think I took both versions. I could be wrong. Let me see. Let me type in Killzone real quick. I think I got both versions primed to the platinum. I
think you said you did have. Yeah,
I know I at least have one of them primed. Of course, it wouldn't. Of course, it's not loading whenever I try to bring it in there. Let's just do %. But yeah, so I'm definitely really really enjoy that game. Like, I can't say it. Killzone Liberation PS5, I'm down to the last couple trophies on that one. And I just had a blast with it, man. Like, it's just so much fun. Like, it was one of those games that you hit at the right time and got a little bit of nostalgia hit off of it, just because I played it on the PSP, but I never finished it. And that was one of those games that I just felt really good about being able to play. So definitely one of those that I look back on my list and I'm like, man, that was a good time. That's one of those. I enjoy having stuff like that. And I think that's where the majority of my value from PS Plus Premium comes from. And you and I talked before. You actually sent over a list one day and you're like, here's 5 or 6 games that I played off of Extra and Premium that justified the price of the entire thing. And I was like, you're right, dude, because the handful of games, I just keep calling out games that I beat on that service, that I played on that service. And I'm like, yeah, I could justifiably, if I wasn't so addicted to buying video games, I could justifiably just exist on premium and have plenty to play. So definitely.
I completely agree. For me, I know people talk about the recent price increase of Plus and whatnot, and I understand it's completely down to that individual, what they see, how much value they get out of it. And but for me, because of the way that I play, is because I haven't played, I tend not to buy the latest releases because I've learned my lesson over time that I'd never get around to playing them. A lot of the games that come out as sequels, and because I haven't played the original or the first or the second in that series, there's no point in me buying the third one in that series because until I get round to playing it. So for me, and because I'm open to playing such a wide, diverse range of games, both in terms of the genres and quality. There's games that I look at an extra and people will turn their nose up at and not have any interest in playing. Whereas for me, it's, man, I don't have that game. That's a bonus for me. If I don't have the game, I'm happy with that, and that's my attitude towards the PS Plus Essential. I don't care what the game is. If I don't have it, I'm glad to have it now in my library, because one day I probably will get around to playing it. And the list of games that I think it was about 23 games I've played over the last 12 months from Extra and Premium and Essential. So for me, divide that cost by 23 or whatever it is, and it's fully paid for itself, twice over, maybe even 3 times over. The games I've got on the go at the moment, The Messenger, El Hijo, Back for Blood, they're all Ice Age, although I don't want to admit
Peppa Pig.
But they're 4 games that I'm on the go at the moment that I'm waiting to finish. Dangerous Golf is another. That's 5 that that I've played this year that I probably wouldn't have bought, but I've enjoyed playing nonetheless, and that justifies the cost of me. So
yeah, I'm just looking now. DC Super Pets, Peppa Pig, Gungrave Gore, Killzone, Super Stardust. I mean, that's 5 games right there. That like Werewolf the Apocalypse, that was on there at one point in time. Yeah, I bought that one. I finished that last. So yeah, that's a heck of a. I mean, that right there, 6 games off the rip. That's just totally worth playing. Twisted Metal. I got the Platinum on Twisted Metal for PS4, and then I've primed up the PS5 version. I've almost got the Platinum on it.
And then you're playing Teardown now as well.
Yeah, playing Teardown as well. So yeah, the list keeps on growing. So premium has good value, man. Especially, again, you and I are very similar in the fact that we like to play a multitude of games. So I'm never going to be the guy who just plays 2 or 3 games a year, plays the AAA bangers and stuff like that. I'm not your Call of Duty sports guy. I'm going to make a list of 100 games I'm going to play, and then I'm going to go buy 100 other games and play those.
yeah, exactly.
All right, what?
Top one. My number one is a game that I'd started in 2022, but didn't get through the majority of it. So I got through the majority of it in 2023, and that is a AAA game, and that's Ghost of Tsushima, and that is a phenomenal, really, really good game. And I've sort of, again, PS Plus Extra is where I've ended up getting it from. So that was a really, really good experience. I've obviously got the Platinum. I was playing through the DLC. I've sort of hung back on the DLC a little bit just because it's the online stuff, with you've got to play through, I think, the 10 different sort of missions, and I think that would be more fun doing it with somebody else that I knew rather than sort of just randoms hopping in and hopping out. And I haven't found anyone yet sort of wanting to do that just yet. So I'd like to get it done at some point, but we'll see. But no, for me, I think a lot of people would have played that, so I don't need to spend too much time on it. But the style, the art, the sort of the storyline, artwork, the sort of everything about it was top notch. It was the controls on it as well, sort of the animations, of how varied it could be, by changing your stance as well, and to against different opponents that you had, different styles. It was really, really good game, and I'm looking forward to when the inevitably bring out the sequel for that one.
Yeah, man.
I'll get to it in 12 years' time.
So I think my top game is pretty obvious. Resident Evil 4 Remake. I absolutely love this game. I bought it when it first came out, as a Resident Evil fan would, and I played through the first hour, really enjoyed it, and I was like, cool, this is great, but I'm in the middle of this trophy competition. I need to kind of dial it back. We'll play this later. So once we finished the GTTSC this year, I jumped into Resident Evil. I actually finished up a few games, or at least to where I felt comfortable, and then jumped into Resident Evil and just couldn't put it down, dude. It was so good. Now, this platinum's going to be a little bit obnoxious. One of the more harder platinums for a Resident Evil game, and you have to play through it a ton of times. So it's kind of one of the... I love Resident Evil games, but I have always hated their trophy lists. I've always hated the requirements of their trophy lists, and I've only platinumed a handful of them.
Yeah.
But yes, this is just such a freaking good game. And this one is by far, is when it comes to enjoyment, just quality, production, just production per square inch. It's insane. And I didn't think, and I even said on the show, I don't think they should remake this game. I didn't think they were going to be able to do what they did with it, and they did, man. They just hit it out of the park. They took a game that was already a masterpiece and really made it very modern and very amazing. I don't know that I'd consider it a masterpiece. Like, I don't know that it hits the same way the other one hit because of just the time and place and the relevance that game had on games moving forward. But definitely top tier, amazing game.
Yes, it's not. I haven't played the Resident Evil 4. I haven't played it, so either version, the remake or the original. So the only one I've completed the story on is is 5, which apparently they are going to be doing that one next, aren't they? From what I can,
and they'll make that one scarier. 5 was fun. 5 was a great action game with amazing drop in, drop out co-op. 6 was a lot of fun too. 6 actually has some spots on there that are like really quality. When it comes to Resident Evil games, I think you should play them personally. I think everyone should play them, but that's the bias in me. If you're going to play 4, you need to play the original version of 4 before you play the remake. I don't know that you'll go back and enjoy the original if you don't.
No, I don't think I will. I think I'll play, because I've got they did the HD version, didn't they, of Resident Evil, which I've got through. They gave that away on PlayStation Plus years ago, and then I have got the remakes of 2 and 3. Mm-hmm. I wasn't sure what to do with because obviously 4, 5, and 6 are always on sale, and obviously they've redone 4, and I keep thinking about getting 5 again and 6 again, but I know that they probably will end up redoing certainly 5. Whether I don't know, some people are skeptical whether they will end up redoing 6 or not as well, but I wonder whether they'll do any of the spin-offs as well, like the Revelations, whether they'll start making
I've been dabbling on the Revelations games again lately.
Yeah. So we'll see. But but horror isn't. Although I like to own them, and I like the thought of doing them. When it comes to picking games, I don't know. I don't go in. I think the last, which you would count as horror, I suppose, game was Soma. Yeah, that's the last one that I played.
Horror games are interesting because me being a horror fan and loving them as much as I do, they require a lot out of you. They require a lot of your attention, your focus. The setting needs to be right for things to make it to work. You need to have good sound, preferably lights need to be off to kind of set the mood, the ambience. And if it's the end of the day and you've worked all day, you've already spent your time with your family and you're tired, winding down to a horror game that's just going to ramp you up in order for it to do what it's intending to do. For me, that's usually why I'm like, I'm this horror guy. I'm Resident Darrell. I play all this stuff, but I'm playing Super Pets and Peppa Pig. Why? Because I've had a long day.
It's because I watch. Yeah, I certainly watch a lot of horror films. I just don't play so many horror games. But there we go. So yeah, well, that was a good list. I think two good lists. Although some others may disagree. The ones that certainly some in our Rarity contest where they sort of, they're talking about Spider-Man 2, Alan Wake 2, and all the latest hits, and I'm talking about Dangerous Golf and the Back for Blood. But there we go. We all game differently. So, should we do this like a quick update on the?
Yeah, we're actually getting close to the end of our time, so let's go ahead and let's do that quick update on the Rarity, and we will get you out of here. We both got to go back to work too.
We do. So, I won't spend. I haven't done the written update as of yet. I will do it, and it'll probably be out before this audio comes out. But it's. But if not,
no, this audio is going to go live today. So the episode that I recorded for today, I still don't have the other person's audio.
Oh.
And so I'm just going to go ahead. When we're done, I'm going to whip this together, and it's going to go live today.
Oh, lovely. Excellent. I might even save you doing it.
There you go.
I'll just
post the link. There you go.
There we go. Okay, so down at the bottom, we'll start at the bottom as usual. I normally say, and I would normally bunch these two together anyway, Kalai and Zach, because normally it's 0 points. But both earned a point this week, albeit they didn't score a trophy, but they both increased their score by 1. So Zach moves on to 12, and Kalai moves on to 74. So they are
12 points, man. That's crazy.
For a little while. Yeah, one a man. So, so they're sort of propping up the rear. In 25th place, we've got another single point earned, and that was for Big Bernadotte. He moves on to 207 points. He was a late entrant into the competition. He did earn a trophy, which was in EA Sports FC 24, which is welcome to the big leagues, which is obviously that's for earning enough points to qualify for their FUT Champs, which is the sort of weekend league they do, which is a sweat fest. Playing on that, having experienced it a few times.
Nice.
In 24th place is Tross on 242. He had 2 points. He's one of the guys who plays brand new releases. I think recently he's done Alan Wake 2, Spider-Man 2, Armored Core 6. Everything that comes out, big game he tends to get. His 2 points came from a couple of trophies in Call of Duty Modern Warfare. So I think that's not one of his most recent games, but obviously still a big game. I think he certainly likes his big games. There's Tross, one of Tricky's friends. 23rd place is Departed, 570. Him and Tross, you can normally guarantee are playing the same game. When I come to this Rarity update, they game so similarly in terms of they don't even know each other.
That's awesome.
But they literally are on every new game day one, that it comes out, the big ones. So he had 12 points this week, taking him to 285, and his rarest was the platinum in Alan Wake 2. So good work there.
That's awesome, dude. I want to play. That's a game I want to play.
Yeah, I need to play the first one. So we'll get that down. Right. Sorry, door's just come in. Next up is 1 minute. So I've just moved up. So my parents dropped them off. So 28 points takes him to 302. And he's been playing Ark Survival Ascended, which was obviously the new game for the what's it called? The Ark Survival Evolved, wasn't it? Was the first one, where they did the platinum.
Yeah.
So obviously he's been doing bits on that one. Then there's a big jump up. Next in line on that one is 21st place is Jared, so Stink Palm. He's on 463 points, 10-point addition this week, and he also got a decent platinum. He got the platinum in Diablo 4, which is a long, long grind. I think he's been working on that one for ages. Next one is in 20th place is Sadak.
Oh, great job.
Again, Sadak hasn't done much at all. He did earn 4 points, but again, I think it's September was the last time he earned a trophy on that one. So he's on 582 points. The next one is 19th is JT. JT had 12 points, taking him to 616. He's been doing a bit of Mass Effect Andromeda with his rarest trophy at 13.2%. We then had the next, in fact, 3 people earned the same trophy, their same rarest trophy of the week, which was the Brain, Homer, and Yield. But the next 2 is the Brain and Homer. They're in 18th and 17th place. Brain had 14 points, Homer had 12. Collateral Damage in Borderlands, the pre-sequel, at 5.39%. That was their rarest trophy. So Riley's on. So it's obviously they do a lot of bit on the co-op side of things. So Riley's on 641.
Nice.
And Homer, after he put together a really good sort of run of points over the last few weeks, moved on to 779. We start to sort of get into scoring of better proportions at this stage. So in 16th place is California Wayne, who obviously has done really well sort of in recent weeks. Tends to always find himself in the rarest trophies of the week. He was a late entrant, but he's on 46 points this week and takes him to 990, so just 10 points short of that 1,000-point milestone. Catching up with Tricky Mick, whether he will overtake him or not is another question, because there's not too many weeks left, and there's still 139 points difference between the two. So that means Tricky's on 1129. He had 23 points this week with a rarest trophy of 44.24%, which was earned in Hogwarts Legacy. In 14th place is Mr. TMNT himself, 35 points earned, taken to 1375. Not a game I'm familiar with was his rarest trophy is Contra Rogue Court. Not 17.75%. Okay. Is it part of the Contra series then? Is it? Okay.
I've played it. It's okay.
Oh.
Yeah, it might be like technically a spinoff,
Okay.
but it's Konami hired some other dev to make it, and it's the third-person action game with the isometric kind of view. Not
Dukes,
terrible, but
Dukes
not great.
Just sort of edged a little bit further ahead, because Dukes had 47 points this week, so 12 more, and that takes him to 1394. So there's now 21 points difference between the two. And Dukes had his rarest trophy was in the platinum in Star Ocean, the second story R. So Star Ocean tech games do tend to be a big grind as well. So he's obviously done well getting that. Next up, 12th place, Grounded Gamer, Corey. He's exactly 100 points ahead of Dupes. He had 28 points with his rarest trophy coming in Baldur's Gate 3, taking him to 1494. And he neither made nor lost ground on the person above him, which is MZ Nitro in 11th place. He also had 28 points, taking him to 1505. So there's still only 11 points difference between those two. And his rarest trophy for the week was in Assassin's Creed Valhalla at 13.59%. So I think that's some of the DLC that he's been doing. I believe I think he's got the platinum in that game already. As I said, the third one to get that trophy in Borderlands and pre-sequel was Yield. He's next in the 10th place, so hanging on to 10th spot. Yield sort of moves more frequently than anybody because there is quite a tight. It's opened up a little bit recently, but it's quite tight between those people in between sort of 9th and 13th, really. But he's opened up now about a 52-point lead over MZ. He had 26 points this week, as I said, with his rarest in Borderlands 2 pre-sequel. A third highest score of the week goes to our Australian friend Affectatious Donk. CJ had 64 points, going to 1606, and his rarest trophy was in Goodbye Volcano High, which I didn't realise that was out yet. It's not a game that for me, but I know that it's been talked about quite a bit on various different podcasts and whatnot. Number 8.
I didn't know that was out yet either.
Yourself, Resident Darrell. Good week this week. So 53 points there earned this week, taking to 2,084. Your rarest trophy of the week was Feed Me More in WWE 2K14. So going back to that was so PS4 presumably on that one. So
nice.
14 was what?
Which one was I playing? I think 13.
Yeah,
14. Was I playing 14? Yeah, it sells PS3. So we've had a lot of kids coming to the house and stay with our kids. A lot of their friends from church and youth group and stuff. So whenever they're over and they need to use my profile to play Fortnite online, I just bounce over to the PS3, and that's what I was playing. I was just playing a little bit of wrestling.
Okay, got ya. So top 7 and second highest score of the week, Diego, 88 points, and he's been smashing it, killing it really recently. He is. I tell you what, if he carries on the way he's going, he's going to be overtaking both Alex and myself at this rate. And he's done another Call of Duty Platinum as his rarest trophy. He's got the Platinum in Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War.
Dude, he's killing it.
Yeah, he is flying at the moment. So he's on 2553. And there was a big gap between. It didn't look like anybody was going to come up to Alex. It looked like there was a big gap between the top 6 and everybody else. But now that gap sort of shrunk to 122 points, I think it is now, between Alex and Diego. So Alex had 23 points. So he's on 2681. So he started hitting the positive points again after Weird West has sort of calmed down now in terms of the platinum. He had his rarest in Metal Hellsinger. I think is that like an action rhythm type game? Is it?
Yep.
That one?
It's like Doom, but a little more metal.
Kill the enemies to the. Yeah, that's right. I'm still in fifth place on 2,870. I just had 17 points this week. My rarest was in the game I've been talked about already, El Hijo at 22.18%. I'm just like literally limping across the line at the moment, getting about sort of between sort of 15 and 20 points each week. So we'll see. Hopefully that'll be enough to keep. I don't think I'm going to go any higher, and I'm hoping I won't go any lower. Then we've got in fourth place is Stylin. Stylin has been absent from scoring trophies for about 3 or 4 weeks now. He's still getting points because his legacy trophies are doing the work for him, especially on the DLC on the Train Sim Worlds games, although he only got 4 points added on this week, but he's on 3127. Rick is in third, and he's another one who is sort of had dropped off. It was a 3-horse race, and that's obviously whittled down to a 2-horse race. But Rick had 18 points this week. He looks set to be sort of on the podium in third place come the end on 3603. his rarest trophy was in Mad Games Tycoon, which I think he's only one trophy off for getting the platinum in that, which I believe he's saving now for the next GTTSC competition, he said. And then we've got the top two who are both have exceeded 4,000 points now. Second is Miskosalot. He's had 60 points this week, so it's a good effort from him. Fourth, taken into 4,042. His rarest trophy was in Superliminal, which I think was a game that was added to the PlayStation Extra catalogue this month, as at 20.54%. And continuing at the top and extending their lead even further is Marky Fraser. So he had the week's highest score, 118 points, taken to 4,331. So what's that, a lead of about 290 odd. His rarest trophy was in Planet Coaster, 7.83%. I noticed that he's close to platinums in a few games, so he's got some points in the bag that he'll be able to should be able to rely on. I think he's probably done enough by now already to sort of secure victory on this. That's a big ask to score, to come back from 290 points in sort of 3 or 4 weeks. Because not only do you have to score that amount of points, that's points you've got to make up. So that's without him scoring as well. So and the way he scores, you think that's probably done. So that's the table, as it said. So top Marky Fraser, second Miskosalot, third is Redbeard Rick, is how it stands. The rarest trophies of the week, as I said, 3 of them were the same trophy scored by 3 different people. Yield, Brain, and Homer all earn a mention for their effort in Borderlands, the pre-sequel. That was a 5.39. Diego got his platinum in Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War at 3.38, and he was in second place for that rarest trophy of the week. And first time appearing in the rarest trophies of the week is Darth Knight, and I think this will probably be subject to decay over time, but he got it for Maximum Dinosaur and Ark Survival Ascended, which was one of your dinosaurs reached maximum level. So that was the rarest trophies of the week. And then just the final part on this is we'll just go through the platinum shouts. So by 100% first is Miskosalot. He earned 100% in Celebrities Hacked. No idea what that is. It sounds like spam, but it was at 37.36%, 100%. So I don't know, but he did it in 3 hours. So maybe it is spam, maybe it's new spam. That's not so. I don't know. He also earned 3 other platinums. One in Klonoa Fantasy Reverie series at 35.99%. I think that was a PlayStation Plus extra game. He had another plat, obviously the one I also mentioned in Superliminal at 20.54, and he had another one in a game called Amaze at 39.21%. So well done on 3
nice.
platinums at 100% there. Good week, to be fair. CJ got a platinum in Like a Dragon Gaiden, the man who erased his name, which I'd seen. I thought this was a follow-up to the Yakuza, the Yakuza Like a Dragon games and stuff, which normally are sort of, long grindy games, but this one has a rarity of 51.27%, so obviously fairly common. So I wonder whether it's a shorter spin-off game. I'm presuming it must be with that sort of rarity of it, especially as it's been out not all that long. Departed 570 had the platinum in Alan Wake 2 at 34.23%, so well done to him. Dupes Star Ocean, the second story, are at 20.82, and then the 2 rarest trophies, platinums of the week, is obviously Stink Palm with Diablo 4, which obviously is an impressive, because obviously the amount of time that he spent on that one, that's really impressive. He can move on to something else now. And Diego with Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War at 3.38%, so an ultra rare platinum.
Very
on that
nice.
one. So well done to him. So yeah, well done to everyone who earned a platinum this week. And that's the quick roundup that we've
Excellent. Thank you, Gareth. Man, that was awesome. Glad we were able to do this. We were coming in just shy of 2 hours together. I am going to insert a segment at the end right here that I had planned for the original episode. Unfortunately, the episode is going to get booted to next week. This one will go live here shortly. So I'm going to put my next segment here at the end. Thank you so much, sir, for joining me. I'm glad we got to chat, have a few laughs, and talk about all the really hard, amazing Peppa Pigs. And
yeah, I didn't get back to finish Ice Age in a minute. Well,
yeah, you really should. I'm a little disappointed you don't have that platinum yet.
I only started it I think it was as a, why did I start it? Oh, I started it as, we did this Raiders game thing, with Rick and a few of the other sort of guys from the Trophy Hunters League that we're in. Because obviously that starts at the beginning of December, doesn't it?
Yep.
So, and because I'd earned a few trophies in it now, I can't leave it. I've got to sort of finish it. So,
well, I've only got 7 trophies in it, so I think you're farther than me.
Yeah,
so I'll make a deal with you.
Yeah,
by the end of the year.
Okay, we'll see what we can do. But I'll end up playing it Christmas Day or something. So.
Yeah, let's try and get this. Let's try and get this thing wrapped up by the end of the year, so we can leave that in 2023.
Yeah, I don't want it being on my top 5 games of 2024. So I want to.
Yeah. That's right. When we come back next year, we'll be like, "Oh, this is it. I've ascended." So, all right, Gareth, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, listeners, for tuning in each and every week. Thank you, guys. We appreciate it. I'm coming right back with another segment, so technically we're not out. We'll catch you next time, Gareth.
Thanks a lot. See you later.
All right, guys, I'm going to cut in here with a little bit of noise for some friends of ours. That's right. I got some beef I have to squash. I have to call out 2 podcast jabronis in the Hunter Houston ESG universe. That's right. These guys, Thomas T. Diddy, former co-host of the Loot Bros, and Mr. TMNT 84, JP, Joe Priestley, former co-host of the Loot Bros. They have been out in the internet jabbing them jaws, and I've heard enough. Guys, I have listened to your episodes. I've listened to the tornado, and I got to be honest, man, your opinions are total crap. That's right. You guys getting on there and you are milking the teat that is cancer magnet puke CM Punk. I am so sick and tired of the internet getting all riled up and getting all excited about CM Puke. He's awful. His opinions are awful. His politics are awful. His attitude is awful. His fans are awful. That's right. Any one of you jabronis that are listening to this podcast and you fancy yourself as a CM Punk fan, I'm sorry, but you made a bad call on that one. So, guys, I'm listening to the episode Wrestle Tornado, episode number 7, some crap. And I'm like, man, you guys are really going hard for CM Punk. As a matter of fact, I thought you two had better taste than that. I thought you had better opinions than that. You guys are sitting there essentially, you guys are marking out for CM Punk. And I just can't get down with it. There's 2 things we got to address here on Loot Bros podcast when it comes to the crap that you boys are spewing over there in the wrestling tornado for that Hunter Houston ESG garbage. That's what the G stands for. It is garbage. That's right. It was good. It used to be good. The G stood for good, but now it stands for garbage. You know why? Because you boys have aligned yourselves with the most cancerous, toxic personality in WWE. It was a celebration when he was removed from AEW. It was good for business. It was good for the fans. It was good for the wrestlers because he is awful. A 45-year-old disgruntled old man who wasn't worthy to main event WrestleMania. So he called it a buy one, get one 4-night extravaganza because he wasn't good enough for it. All right. Then he gets beat up by Luke Perry's son, Jungle Boy, and gets removed from AEW. And it was a time to celebrate for the fans all across all of wrestling because you know what? That scumbag was gone. That's right. Scumbag. He's awful. And yet here he is crawling back to Triple H, begging for his job, begging for a spot. And it makes me sick. It makes me want to puke. I can't puke. You know why? Because CM Punk is too close to CM Puke. I don't want to be associated with it. I don't want anything to do with it. And unfortunately, because you guys have aligned yourself with cancer magnet puke, I can't have anything to do with you.
I have to completely wash my hands of you two. That's why I call you the former co-host of Loot Bros Podcast, because if in fact I hadn't went nuclear and just destroyed the podcast, gotten rid of everybody, thrown the babies out with the bathwater, I would have had to now. So you would have forced my hand by getting on there and milking that CM puke teat. I had respect for you boys, but I don't have respect for you anymore. And it goes even farther. You have the audacity to dedicate an episode about CM Punk to me, Resident Darrell, the guy who's responsible for even getting your voices on the internet. I am the inspiration. I am the beginning of your podcast careers. And ultimately, I will have to be the end of your podcast careers, because you guys get on there and you say, this one's for Darrell. This one's for Resident Darrell. This one is going to make him come to a sense of reason with CM Punk, CM Garbage Boy Punk. And then you get on there and you take shots at the PlayStation Portal, the PSP, this beloved handheld that you guys haven't even touched, that you hate so much, that you're like, oh man, it's garbage. It's garbage. It's garbage like our love for CM Punk. It's freaking garbage. Why would you want to spend $200 on a streaming device when you can go buy a phone and you can go buy a backbone and you can put them all together and have the exact same thing, but for more money and less quality? That's right, because the PSP, the PlayStation Portal, is a DualSense, a PS5 controller with an 8-inch screen inside it. That's right. So you want to sit there, Thomas, you want to talk about going and buying a cheap phone? You want to talk about how you can put it in a backbone? A backbone's $100. Let's say you get a cheap iPhone SE from Straight Talk for $149. That's right, because that's what they cost. You're $249 plus tax in the hole. And that's right, you're going to get taxed twice on this transaction, because you seem to think that buying a backbone in one transaction and buying a phone in another transaction is a better decision. But in fact, you're just going to be paying the man twice as much taxes. So I'll call you Tax Diddy instead of T Diddy. But you think paying that tax twice is a better decision than paying one time. That's right, one time for the PlayStation Portal, the PS5 DualSense streaming companion with a bigger screen than your $149.99 iPhone SE. So you say this is a better deal, but in fact, it is a dumber deal. It is the same level of incompetence that drives wrestling fans to cheer for and reason with CM Punk. See, these two things, guys, gentlemen, ladies of the podcast community, they're the same thing. Saying that CM Punk is good for business and is a good wrestler is equally as stupid as buying two separate devices to do the same thing that good old franchise Jimmy Ryan, he who makes us whole, Mr. Worldwide himself, gave you in one price point, one dues to the tax man. I'm going to need you boys to do better, all right? I'm leaving this here for you as an opportunity for you to repent of your foolish ways and come back to a sense of reasoning. This is your opportunity. Do with it what you will.
Close